back in 2 Timothy chapter 3. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege to be here again this evening. I pray that you would help us as we look into your word. You'd open your word to us and speak to our hearts in a special way. I pray that you give us guidance and direction. I want to thank you for the song service. Thank you for the music in the church. I pray that you would bless the ones that take part in that. Pray that you would encourage them, help us be an encouragement to them, and thank you for the encouragement they are to us. I ask now you'd lead, guide, direct. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, we're looking at some things that'll be happening in the last days. And it's not a pretty picture, but it's the truth. And I want to be prepared, and I have no doubt you do also. A pastor called me after church today and asked me, of course he was asking about the church and the service, and he said, "How was the service?" I said, "Well, the preaching was tremendous." I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I said God gave me good liberty, which I really appreciate. He said, I said, "Did you preach today?" And he said, "No, he's sharing at his home church tonight. He's presenting, going to share about the work, what's going on." And he said, "The pastor preached a really good message." He said he preached on the second coming. I said, "Yeah, he did. That's good. That's good." Said it was a really good message. I'd be surprised if his pastor didn't preach a good message, to be honest with you. He's a good preacher. I said, "Well, he preached on the second coming." I said, "I preached on what's coming. Perilous times." He said, "Well, that's the truth, isn't it?" So I didn't get finished, and I want to try to maybe finish this portion up and at least get up to the part to where he tells us the antidote, how that we can survive, how we can make it here. But I won't get to share that with you because y'all listen real slow. It's not my fault, but God help me, I'll try to be a help to you. He's talking about the things here. He said, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come." Then he tells us what men or mankind's going to be like. This is the way the majority of people will be like in this world. It's absolutely frightening when you think the majority of people are going to be like this. And it's really frightening to see how our country, how America is right now, and how the morals of our country have slipped so much. And I mean the wickedness that goes on, and it's acceptable and even encouraged. And people that's got morals, then we're considered the bad guy. And, Brother Kelly pointed out the other night, I hadn't thought about it, but he pointed out, he said, all the people that came to Jesus, he healed every one of them. There were thousands of them. He healed every one of them. He said, "Do you think all those people got saved?" And I thought, I hadn't thought about that before. And then I thought, probably not. He said, "No." Can you imagine people having serious, life-threatening problems, come to Jesus and want to be healed, and then go away and don't want anything else? People, it's really easy to just get caught up in this world and what's going on in this world, not thinking about the world to come. And so we're looking about what's happening in the last days. Perilous times shall come. That means dangerous times are coming. Dangerous times are coming. And we got up to this part to where people are unthankful. It's amazing. It's amazing how unthankful people, I mean, you do stuff for people and they don't even say thank you. I know it's happened to you. You help people, and I mean, it's just like you owe it to them. They don't appreciate it at all. And they refuse. This is referring to those that do not appreciate what you do for them. Unthankful. You know, years ago, I try to open the door for Marguerite. When we go to a building, when we go to the car, I try to open the door for her. I do it for I do it because I love her, but I do it out of respect for her. I open the door for her. And I go to the shopping center and I open the door for her to walk in Australia. I open the door and here comes these teenagers. She starts in and she has to get out of the way. They're just going to run over her. I mean, they just walk over. They don't say thank you. I'm standing there holding the door while 10 or 15 of them walk out, laughing, cutting up. And Marguerite's had to get out of the way. I'm standing there holding the door. And even here, you open the door, and adults, people, they don't say thank you when they walk through. You open the door and start to walk in, they just start walking out. And if they don't say to me, if they don't say thank you, I'll say, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Now, I might not ought to do that. But I got a little boy inside of me, sometimes can't help it. I didn't say what I really wanted to, but I did say, I do it really to make them think, oh. Some of them say, oh, yeah, thank you. Just try to make them think. But if anybody, could I encourage you to do so? Cultivate an attitude of gratitude. Work at it. Cultivate an attitude of gratitude. Be grateful if somebody does, no matter how small it is. If someone does something for you, thank them. Say thank you. You know, these people that are unthankful, they don't appreciate what you do and they always want more. Now we're talking about these people here. This is how it's going to be in the last days. Now we see glimpses of it as, you know, I mean, it's obvious today, it's prevalent in our day, but it's going to get worse the closer we get to the coming of the Lord. They don't appreciate what you do, and then they won't say thank you, and then they want more. And they act like they're doing you a favor for letting you help them. Like you owe them. You know, Miss Kathy, as much as you do for people, I have no doubt that people take advantage of you. I have just mentioned before, I'd like to have a chair for my garage. I love sitting in my garage. Just sitting out there. Sometimes I listen to gospel music, and she brought me a chair. I just mentioned, I didn't say, do you have a chair? I just said, you know, I wish I had me a chair for my garage. And I wasn't hinting or nothing. Really, I wasn't. And she brought me a chair, but it was a cloth chair. But I really wanted one that was like plastic lined, or, you know, it didn't have to be leather. I'm used to imitation leather. And because you can just wipe the dust off it. You know what she did? She brought me a very good chair, like an office chair, and put imitation leather on it. It could be real leather, I don't know. I don't know the difference in it, I don't think. But she brought me one. And then she brought me another one. Later, it's got wheels on it. I can roll around now. I can roll over to the refrigerator and get me a Dr. Pepper and roll back over and change the channel on the radio. But I wasn't hinting or anything like that. But she just took it on herself to do stuff like that. Now, I did hint for a cake a while back. I did. That just came to me, I have to confess. And you know what I found on my door? A cake. hanging on to. It's good to go to the door every now and then. And man, it's good too. Marguerite ate just a little bit of it on the way to church. There's not much left, sister. We need to say thank you. I don't ever not say thank you to anybody. And it really bothers me if I forget to say thank you. I will text or some say, if I forgot to say thank you, I'm sorry. And I want you to know I appreciate it and thank you. But there's people, and it's going to get worse as the closer we get to the coming of the Lord. People are going to be unthankful. Don't let that be you and me. Let's really work on that. And not only that, men are going to be unholy. They're going to be unholy. Holy has the idea of being separated to God. You're separated to God and you're serving God. Being unholy means you're separated, not you, but they are separated from God. They don't want anything to do with God. They'll take His blessings and His benefits like they did from Jesus. I got a withered hand, heal me. Heal me. And He heals them. Oh, that's all I need. I'll see you next time I have a need. Next time I want something. You want to live for me? No. But when I have another need, they're unholy. That is separated from God. It's referring to people who have no relationship with God. I don't understand how people make it. They don't have a relationship with God. I just really don't understand. Some people got their life planned out. They even know what kind of funeral they want. I found out this morning. Marguerite said she didn't want no Viking funeral. She can't swim. She won't be pushed out in a boat and it burned out from under her. She said she can't swim. I'm serious, she said that. I don't want to know about my funeral. I don't want to be cremated. I want to be buried. Well, I really won't go by the rapture if I got my choice. I choose rapture. But if I have to go by the grave, I want to be buried, not burned. In the Bible, God's people were buried, not burned. You can study that out sometime for yourself. But this is talking about, I don't know how I got on funerals. It just popped in my head. Listen to this. These people are without natural affection. It has the idea of being heartless. Don't have a heart. It talks about a heart that's void of affection toward those that they should naturally love. I don't understand how kids cannot love their parents. I just don't understand it. If you got parents that are saved and providing for you, you need to appreciate them. You ought to go out of your way to make them feel special. You ought to do stuff for them. Y'all do something. Make it easy on them. Make it easy on them around the house. Help them clean, cook. There's some girls grow up and never know how to cook. Thank God for McDonald's. Marguerite is a worker. She couldn't cook much when we got married, but she made chili, homemade chili. It made me sick. I'd throw up. I'm serious. I threw up. Do you know what? She didn't give up, neither did I. She'd change recipes, make chili. I'd throw up. She'd make chili. But I tell you what, I don't know if I got used to it or she got good. She'd get people's recipes. Now, I don't like canned chili. I don't like canned chili. Bought from the store, don't like it. I love homemade chili, and Marguerite makes really good chili, homemade chili. Really good homemade chili. Marguerite is the best cook I know. I'm serious. Best cook I know. Now, this is talking about people that's without natural affection. I wonder how many babies have been aborted in our country. Is that not heartbreaking? Women don't even call them babies anymore. Fetuses. Or don't even call them that. Embryos. Don't even recognize them that much. I just don't understand. I don't understand how a mother could abort her own baby. A heart that's void of affection toward those they should naturally love. I tell you what, there's mothers, you better not get between them and their cub, between them and their girls or boys. I mean, they'll hurt you. They'll die for their kids. This is talking about young people killing their parents. It's nothing anymore to hear on the news how some child has killed their grandmother or granddad or their parents. How in the world could somebody go into a school and stab 4 people they don't even know? You talking about heartless. It's also talking about people that are truce breakers. It's talking about people that do not keep their word. Do you know, we need to keep our word. If anybody keeps their word, it ought to be us. It ought to be Christians. But this is talking about the last days. It's going to be people will stand and lie to you, to your face. They have it's talking about people have no intention of keeping their word. Margaret and I have got one daughter, and I do not know why, but she went through a phase that she would, when she was a little girl, she would lie to us, and it didn't benefit her a bit. I don't know why she did. I said, Chrissy, I know you're lying. Just tell me the truth and you won't be in trouble. And that little girl would stand there and lie to me. So you know what I did? Oh, it'll be all right. You'll grow out of this one day. Yeah, but I wore her out. I said, you lie to me? My daddy taught me when I was growing up that a man is only as good as his word. A woman is only as good as their word. If you lie to people, if your word's no good, you are no good. That's what my daddy taught me. A person that will lie to you will steal from you. That's what my daddy taught me. And I taught that to my little girl the hard way. I remember one time she was a teenager, and I think it was the last time I gave her a Tennessee whooping. And I had another preacher said, oh, she's too old to spank. You need to talk to her. I said, I do talk to her, and it don't do any good, so I resort to discipline. She needs a tune-up every now and then. That's what I'd say. She needs a tune-up. I can remember the last time I took my belt, I got her by the arm like my mother used to do me. I give her a few, and she stood there like this. I mean, she stared at me hard. I didn't turn her loose. I stopped, and then I talked to her. I said, I don't appreciate the way you're looking at me. I'm your daddy, and I'm trying to help you. Evidently, this is not working the way I'm doing this. So we'll step the punishment up just a little notch or two. And I wore her out. She turned me in circles trying to get away. And I was after her. Last time I had to do that. Y'all got wood sheds in Idaho? You know what a wood shed is? Tennessee, they say, take him to the wood shed. Ain't got nothing to do with keeping where you keep the firewood. You don't want to go to a Tennessee wood shed. Only one of us is coming back. Well, it ain't quite that bad. You feel like part of you's been left there, though. False accusers. The closer we get to the coming of the Lord, people are false accusers. You know that an accuser, that comes from a word that describes the devil, diabolos, or ever how you pronounce it. It's the same word that's used for devil in the New Testament. And the word devil means slanderer or accuser. You know what's used over 50 times in the Word of God? And it's talking about a false accuser who attempts to hurt others by way of gossip. False accusers. Now, people are going to say things about you, and sometimes it's not nice what they say. But let whatever they say be a lie. They don't tell bad stuff on you because it's the truth. What they tell on you can't help what they tell on you, but at least it doesn't have to be they're telling something bad because it's the truth. They let it be because they falsely said it. False accusers. But they're doing it by way of gossip and rumors, and they're insinuating things. I don't know if you know this or not, but let me tell you what happened. Now, I'm not trying to gossip. I'm not trying to hurt them, but, goat's butt. Not trying to hurt them, but, and then don't let people gossip to you. Excuse me, does this look like a trash can? This is an ear. Don't be dumping your trash in here. I don't need to hear it. When a person falsely accuses someone, they're doing the work of the devil. Devil, he can take a holiday now. He can sit back and take it easy because there's so many people are doing his work for him. And then it talks about people, it talks about incontinent. That means undisciplined and uncontrolled. People just don't have any discipline. They have no control about them. It describes someone who has no self-control at all whatsoever when it comes to doing what's wrong. They don't want to do what's right, but they have no problem doing what's wrong. They have no control. They can't control themselves. They just headlong into it. Things just get addicted to things, so to speak. You see a lot of it in people who have no control for the desire for food. I went to a church one time up in South Carolina when Marguerite and I I think it was before we ever went to Australia, and presented the ministry. And his very huge man. And he said, when you preach my people, you preach a word. You preach it. That you preach it. You tell the truth. You preach the word. They can take it. Pour it on them. Pour it on them. They need it. And he's a very huge man. And I was wondering what he'd say if I preached on gluttony. That's the thought running through my head. I was trying to raise support and I didn't do it. But I did. That's the thought running through my head. What if I preached on gluttony? Now, all people that are big don't have a problem with gluttony. My dad weighed over 400 pounds. And he was not a gluttonous person. He didn't drink, didn't smoke. And he's one reason I never did drink or smoke. He caught me stealing his cigarettes and smoking them. And I was probably about 8-year-old. I didn't know how to smoke. I just thought he's big. It's big. He smoked. He caught me. He said, "Go get my belt, boy." I said, "Daddy, if you won't whoop me, I promise you I'll never smoke another one." He said, "I'm going to take you at your word." I've not smoked another one. He didn't whoop me. Thank God he didn't whoop me. And I've not smoked another one. Didn't get hooked on cigarettes. He didn't drink and he didn't allow it on his property. I didn't drink. Some people don't have any self-control. But he was a large man, and he was not a gluttonous person. My younger brother is a large man, but he's not a gluttonous person. There's some people that eat like a horse, and they never gain any weight. I don't know why it ran through my head. But I went to bed when I was 39-year-old, and I woke up the next morning at 40, and I looked like Mr. Atlas when I went to bed and looked like Mr. Mitchell when I woke up. You know who Mr. Michelin is? And I needed bifocals. In Tennessee, it don't matter if you need them or not. You turn 40, they give you bifocals. They don't give you nothing. They sell you bifocals. People don't have a control for their desire for food, sex, pornography, alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, gambling, etc., etc., etc. It speaks of an uncontrollable desire that enslaves people. Enslaves people. That's what we're talking about. It's got them. It enslaves them. Not only that, but fierce. Talking about people that's fierce. Have you ever, usually when you think of somebody that's about something that's fierce, you don't think of people, you think of an animal. Maybe of a dog. He's fierce. My neighbors next to me, they got 2 huge, big old dogs. I think they got some pit in them, I'm not sure. But they broke through the fence and bit the neighbor on the other side. And when I'm out there running my weed eater, that fence is giving it this. They're bouncing against it, and I think that plastic fence one day is going to come down. One of these days. They got out. I saw them up in the neighborhood. I pulled way up in the neighborhood. I pulled in my house back up. I get out, and I got groceries in my hands, and I sensed something behind me. I turned around. One of them stand up on his hind feet looking at me. "Hello. How you doing? Good dog." And the other one's standing there. I talked to them, and they went on. I went down and told the neighbors, I said, "I think your dogs are out." There's a pit bull. We was putting tracts and invitations in Australia in a mailbox. And Brother AJ, he reached through a fence and put the mailbox on the inside of the fence. He opened it and reached through. As a pit bulldog grabbed him by the arm just like that. They said, "What'd you do, Brother A.J.?" He said, "I talked him out of it." Talked to him. Fierce. It has the idea of being a savage, being brutal. This is talking about people against people. People against people. It implies they're unable to tame them. And it talks about living in a day of wickedness. You know, even in our day, it's hard to turn on the news without hearing something about some murder or some attack or some, good news. Do you ever hear anything on news? Do you ever hear any good news? I don't think good news will sell. That people listening to, it's always bad news. Bad news. And they're despisers of those that are good. Not only do they hate what is right and good, but they also hate those that do good. You know who they're going to be fierce toward? You. For trying to do good, trying to do right, trying to live for God, trying to be faithful to God, faithful to His church, trying to be a help to other people. They're going to hate you. They're going to be fierce toward you. Then it says traitors. Traitors. It has the idea of people just not loyal. They're not loyal anymore. Husbands and wives should be loyal to their spouses. They made vows. We need to be faithful to each other. I don't know if you figured it out yet or not, but marriage is hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard, you got to work at it. It's hard work. Margarita is my sweetheart from 11-year-old. She is my sweetheart for 7 years before we got married. We've been married 52 years. She's been my sweetheart for 59 years. It's hard work. I about got her where I want her. You got to work at it. It's not easy. It's not easy. Could I chase a little rabbit just a second? You said, I thought that's what you've been doing all the time. That's what they call it where I come from in Tennessee. Chase a rabbit. Get off on the trail. You want to have a successful marriage, a word you really need to get a hold of is kindness. Kindness. No matter what's happened, be kind to each other. Even in arguments, if at all possible. It's so easy to say things you will regret. Be kind even when you're arguing. Right? I probably ought to save him other two words and preach on it one day. What's that word that you use when you don't always get what you want and you have to settle? It don't always go your way. Is it called compromise? Compromise? If you're going to have a successful marriage, you're going to have to compromise. I said that one time in a church, and the pastor, I said, I said, you don't like that word. Can't you use another word, Brother Mike? Can we change that? I said, no, I want to make compromisers out of your people. You don't always get what you want. I hope you don't. I hope you learn that your spouse is more important than you are. and that you make compromises sometimes because you love your spouse. You compromise. You don't always get what you want. It's not too late. Not too late. Compromise. Kindness and compromising go a long way. So what's the third word? I'm going to save that one, because I can't remember it. I got it written down. I've even typed it in my computer. Yeah, old age. Kindness and compromising. Do you know every time you win an argument, your spouse is a loser? Does it make you feel bad if your spouse loses? It should. It should make you feel bad if your spouse loses. You say, but you don't know what we're arguing about. One of you is going to be a loser when it comes to arguing. Why can't you just compromise? Despisers of those that are good. Not only will men hate what's right and good, but they will hate those that's doing good. And then this next one's traitors. Traitors. In the last days, it's people, you talking about, they're going to be marked by lack of loyalty. You know, sometimes employers are not loyal to their employees. They take advantage of them. Sometimes employees are not loyal to their employers. They take advantage of them. I think employees ought to be the best employee that an employer has. A Christian ought to be the best employee that an employer has. You know, a lot of teenagers are not loyal to their parents. I wish you was my parent. My mom, my dad's not like you. I wish you was my parent. Well, your parents might wish that they were your parents too. I heard somebody, this little saying, this parents, they got some kids and kids messing up. And an outsider said, if that was my kid, I'd beat it to death. And the parent said, yeah, if it's your kid, I would too. Parents are not loyal to teenagers are not loyal to their parents. Hey, young people, be loyal to your parents. I promise you'll miss them when they're gone. You'll miss them when they're gone. And you know really the truth, if you think about it, the children that have the worst time at a funeral and getting over a parent are the ones that treated their parents horrible. If you treat your parents right, when it comes time, if they die before you, at least you won't have that regret. You won't have that worry. But you watch those kids that wasn't loyal to their parents, was horrible to them, they'll take it bad. You know, people are not loyal to their pastor. You got a godly pastor, you need to be loyal to him. Faithful, encourage him, pray for him, support him. I don't know if you notice or not, but I don't sit in the pastor's chair. I don't sit in your chair, Daniel. That's your chair. You're the song leader. That's not my chair. When I first got saved and started preaching, I never sat in my pastor's chair. I do it out of respect. I'm not the pastor while he's gone. I'm his helper. and thank God for a privilege to be a helper. I will do my best to be a helper by the grace of God. Very few people are loyal to God in the last days. They just don't care. Very few people are going to be loyal to the church. I had people in Australia. I said, you know what people do when they go on vacation? They don't try to find a church to go to on Wednesday night. They don't think about God. They're on vacation. You know, I had a man say, yeah, what's wrong with that? And he's the man that called me 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, Brother Mike, pray for me. I don't know if I'm saved or lost. I think if I die, I'm going to hell. I woke up the other night and I was fighting this snake and I had it by the head. I was choking it to death. And I woke my wife up and she said, Steve, what are you doing? He said, I'm killing this snake. And she said, that's my ankle. He called me to tell me about that at 2 o'clock in the morning. Thank God I'm not a pastor. I can turn my phone off now at night. I do. The reason I do it because I got friends in Tennessee that get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and start texting. God spoke to my heart, and this is what he said. Well, it's 3 o'clock here. Heady. That has being heady. People, they're heady. That has the idea of thoughtless, hasty, headstrong, reckless. It has the idea of just getting a thought and rushing forward with it. Don't give any thought to the circumstances. This is what they're going to do. No matter what advice anybody says, I know this is right and I'm going to do it. It describes someone who thinks they know best and rejects the wisdom of others. Hey, young people, your parents have wisdom that you have not attained yet. And they got that by learning and sometimes by the school of hard knocks. They've made some mistakes maybe that they don't want you to make. You heard of the school of hard knocks? That means, you go to school to learn. School of hard knocks, the way you learn is, oh, that hurt. I won't do that again. Right? Remember I told you my mother slapped me in the mouth? Got my attention real quick. I didn't do that again. Not an arm's length anyway. High-minded. That someone's puffed up with a thought. They estimate themselves of, so high importance and worth that they're so high above everybody else that there is no way they can be wrong. Then it talks about lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. How in the world can anybody in their right mind do that? They must be lost. In our day, there's sports stadiums that are full when God's house is empty. There's athletes that are signing $1 million contracts and they're spending billions of dollars to build sports arenas, and God's house is unattended and uncared for. Oliver B. Green said this: the average church member today does not allow the church service to come between him and his pleasure. Prayer meeting, revival, or church duty is no longer going to interfere with social activities. We live in a society they're more interested in pleasure than they are God. They're more interested in what makes them happy or what makes them feel good. People get filled with the pleasures of the world and they don't even think they need God. They're religious counterfeits. I hope I'm not boring you to death completely. I hope I'm not boring you at all. You know, Paul, he's warning that there will be corrupt men they oppose as the men of God. Do you know the pastor Marguerite and I got saved under, Brother Jack? He is a good preacher. I mean, a good preacher. And he resigned the church after about 3 years. It broke our heart, and he left. And they got a man to come in to be the pastor. Here's how important it was to the church to find a pastor. They got what's called got a group of men that get together, a pulpit committee. They get together and they'll go to another church and listen to a preacher, and if they like him, they'll invite him to come and preach. Well, our pulpit committee, they come to church, and it's on Sunday morning, right? Sunday morning. They'd say, "You thought about going anywhere?" "No, I've not thought about going anywhere." "How about let's go over here?" "No, I don't. I've not heard anything good about them." "Well, what about them?" And then they get in the car and take off somewhere. They ain't prayed about it, thought it over. They go here to another church that's got a pastor and going to steal that pastor. And here's what they said. "Oh, he's got a preacher's voice. He's got a preacher's voice." I wonder what that is. What's a preacher's voice? I don't think I've got one. Not a big, booming bass voice. They'd talk about his preacher's voice. He pulled off his shoes when he was preaching. He said Moses was walking in holy ground. This is holy ground. Had me to come up and said, "Check his pocket." "What's in there?" "Nothing." "Check his pocket." "What's in there?" "Nothing." "Check his pocket." "What's in there?" "Nothing." See, I didn't bring the revival with me. If revival comes here, God has got to send it. Stuff like, oh, help us. He's beating on a slab of concrete, trying to break up a slab of concrete, this preacher was. Brother Gene and I pulled in. He had a big old sledgehammer, this preacher did, trying to beat up his, and he's right up in the middle of that concrete, beating right in the middle of that concrete. Brother Gene said, "Mikey, show him how to break up that concrete." So I got the concrete, and I got on the edge, and I started hitting it, and when I hit, just a little flick, I broke that thing up just real quick. I probably shouldn't have said it, but I said, it's sort of like when you're having a problem in church, you just don't jump in the middle of it and start beating it a bang, and you start whittling on it from the edge and work your way in, and you can't get it broke up that way. And then I got in a truck. Probably shouldn't have said it. But he proved out to be pitiful. A pitiful pastor. He's in a hospital, and I go see him. And he have a TV on reading the Sports Illustrated magazine, and he wouldn't even turn it off to talk to me. I'd sit there and preach, and he'd be over here snapping his fingernails. I mean, a pastor of a church got a young preacher up trying to, he's supposed to be training, and he's over here clipping his fingernails. You can hear it all over the church, sort of like this, real quiet. People really excited, real quiet. Him clipping his fingernails. Counterfeits. People posing to be men of God. He wasn't a man of God. Church gave me a hat, 2 hats. One, strong faith. Was it strong men, strong faith, strong families? I wear that hat. They gave me another one that says, man of God. I don't wear that hat. I don't advertise myself as a man of God. To me, that's very important. I don't advertise myself like that. I won't wear that hat. If somebody thinks I'm a man of God, it's going to come from somebody else. It's not going to be me wearing a sign around. It's talking about counterfeits. You know, Jesus warned to beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they're ravening wolves, Matthew 7:15. These impostors, they put on an outward form like a sheep, but in their heart they're ravening wolves. Do you know wolves and sheep don't mix? I've never saw a farmer that had sheep and then put wolves in with them. Have you? There was a lady in Australia, she had come along to church with us, she had milk goats. I mean, some of the best milk. If you like goat's milk, you talk about making biscuits and gravy. Oof. Marguerite had a little old cat. Somebody gave her. Had a little old kitten. And Marguerite was giving it store-bought milk, and it drank that milk, and we got goat's milk, and it drank that goat's milk, and we ran out, and she tried to feed it store-bought milk, and it just turned its nose up. It got used to the good stuff. But she got a big old white dog, I mean that thing big as a horse almost, and put in there with it and said, don't pet that dog. It protects those goats. And it did. It stayed with the goats, didn't want anything to do with people, and protected those goats. These are impostors. In their heart, they're ravening wolves. They have a form of godliness. I mean, they pretend. Outwardly, they appear like they're saved people, even men of God, but these people he's talking about, not even saved. Not even saved. I'm going to stop. Not through? You're kidding. I'm going to stop. Still got their denial. They deny the power, their deception. They creep into houses, lead captive silly women. You'd like to know what those silly women are, wouldn't you? It's not talking about all women. Silly women laden with sins. I'm going to stop. I learned a long time ago the mind can only absorb what the seat can endure. You ever heard that? I'm going to stop. I appreciate your attention. What I've been trying to tell you is what's going to happen in the last days, and a bit of a warning so you won't be surprised when it does happen. When you see things that you see on TV or things that happen locally, and it just seems, is it ever going to end? I mean, is it just going to get worse and worse? Yes, it is. The only way it's going to get better, the only way it's going to end is when the Lord comes back. He catches the church out. Thank God he's not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation. It's going to get worse and worse, but the best is yet to come for those that are saved. It's going to get better for you. It's going to get worse here, but it's going to get better. You got a bright future, something to look forward to. So, do your best to invite people to church. Share your testimony. Share the gospel with people. Try to get people to get saved. And realize there's some counterfeits out there. They have a form. They say they're saved, but they're not really.